Have you ever woken up, swung your legs off the bed, and stood up right away, only to feel like the room moved before you did? Imagine this. A man named Harold, 76 years old, living alone in a quiet neighborhood, gets up just like he always does. It's 6:40 a.m. The birds outside are chirping faintly, and he has a doctor's appointment in 2 hours. He swings his legs to the side, pushes off the mattress, and collapses. No warning, just darkness. He wakes up an hour later, on the floor, confused, disoriented, his glasses snapped, his hip bruised, and not a single soul knew. Now here's the part most people miss. He didn't slip on a rug. He didn't trip over his cane. He simply stood up too fast. If you're over 65 and you live alone, this kind of moment isn't just an accident. It's a warning. Your body needs more time in the morning than it used to. Your blood pressure reacts differently. And one wrong move, just one, can lead to weeks in recovery or worse. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because I've seen it happen too many times. You see, I've spent decades guiding older adults on how to live not just longer, but safer, stronger, and more confidently, especially when no one else is around. The truth is, the first 10 minutes after waking up can quietly shape the entire rest of your day. Sometimes your safety, sometimes your life. So let's walk through what to do differently, starting with the first and most overlooked danger, getting out of bed too quickly. You might think, but I've been doing this all my life. That's exactly the point. As we age, our blood vessels get less responsive. They don't adjust your blood pressure instantly when you go from lying down to sitting or standing. The technical name for this is orthostatic hypotension, but you don't need to remember that. What matters is what it feels like: sudden dizziness, blurred vision, that sinking wave in your chest, or your knees turning to jelly. And if that happens while you're halfway up, it's already too late. Here's what I want you to picture instead. You wake up, you blink a few times. Instead of jumping up, you take one deep breath. You roll gently to one side. Let your feet find the floor, but don't stand yet. Now, here's the important part. Sit at the edge of the bed. Let your hands rest gently on your thighs. Drop your shoulders. Breathe slowly 5 or 6 times. Look around the room. Feel your balance come back. Let your body catch up. This simple pause, 30 to 60 seconds, can prevent that dangerous drop in blood pressure. It gives your brain a chance to get fully online. And more importantly, it gives you control. We call it the bedside pause. Some even say it's like giving yourself a moment of respect, like your body saying, "Thank you for not rushing me." Harold didn't know that. Not until after the fall, after the hospital stay, and after the fear of waking up alone grew bigger than the pain in his hip. You don't need to learn it the hard way. And here's something you could do right now. If you've ever felt even a little lightheaded when you stood up, just go ahead and type number 1 below. Doesn't matter if it was last year or yesterday. It helps others see they're not alone. That's how we learn from each other. Let me say this too. If this already sounds like something you, or someone you love, might benefit from, it might be worth hitting that little subscribe button. That way, you won't miss the rest of these life-saving ideas I'll be sharing. Because this isn't about making big changes overnight. It's about noticing small things and giving them the power to protect you. It all starts with that first moment in the morning. You don't have to be fast. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be steady. All right, let's take this one habit and build from it. We've got more coming. More subtle morning mistakes that hide behind routine. The ones that don't get talked about, but quietly chip away at your strength and safety. Ready to keep going? Now, let's imagine you did it right. You sat up slowly, took your time, let your body adjust before standing. No dizziness, no rush. You're up. You feel steady. But there's something else your body's quietly asking for, and most people ignore it. Water. It sounds too simple, doesn't it? But after more than 8 hours of no fluids, your body wakes up thirsty, even if you don't feel it. Let me tell you about Ethel. She's 82, lived alone after her husband passed. Sharp mind, great sense of humor. Every morning, she goes straight from bed to the kitchen to make her tea and toast. No water. Never liked the taste. Said tea was wet enough. Then, one more morning in July, she fainted. Right there between the toaster and the sink. She didn't hit her head, but the fall scared her more than she wanted to admit. When I visited her later, she said, "I don't get it. I didn't do anything different." That's exactly the problem. As we age, our sense of thirst dulls. The brain stops sending strong signals. By the time you actually feel thirsty, you're already a bit dehydrated. Mild dehydration might not sound like a big deal, but it is. It thickens your blood, slows circulation, strains your kidneys, and makes your heart work harder. And for many older adults, it also leads to confusion, fatigue, and a much higher risk of falling. And here's the part nobody tells you. It starts first thing in the morning. While you're asleep, you lose water through your breath, your skin, and your urine, even if you didn't sweat. And if you're taking diuretics for blood pressure or heart failure, that's even more fluid gone. So when you wake up, your brain, your muscles, and your balance are already operating at a slight disadvantage. Now imagine starting the day without fixing that. A single glass of water in the morning doesn't just hydrate you. It wakes up your circulation, supports brain clarity, and kickstarts your digestion. Think of it like oiling an engine before it runs. Here's what I recommend, and what I teach my clients. Keep a glass or bottle of water on your nightstand. Not ice cold, just room temperature. And before you even reach for the kettle or the pills, take slow, steady sips. You don't need to chug. In fact, it's better if you don't. Half a glass is good. A full one is better. But what matters most is that you do it consistently. Some people tell me, "But I don't feel thirsty when I wake up." And I tell them, exactly. That's why you need it. We're not waiting for symptoms. We're staying ahead of them. Let me give you a number that sticks. Losing just 2% of your body's water can start affecting your focus, coordination, and even memory. And in older adults, the effect comes sooner and hits harder. So if you've ever skipped water in the morning, or you know someone who does, type number 2 below. Maybe it was just yesterday. Maybe it's been years. That comment might be the exact reminder someone else needed today. And while we're at it, if you're finding this helpful so far, it might be a good idea to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss the rest of this life-supporting routine we're building together. Because that's what we're doing here. This isn't about fear. It's about confidence. About building a day that starts strong, so it stays strong. Back to Ethel. After her fall, she began each day with half a glass of water by her bedside. In 3 weeks, she told me her afternoon fogginess was gone. She felt steadier, lighter, and more in control. Sometimes the smallest habit makes the biggest shift. Don't wait until your body begs for water. Start giving it before it asks. And remember, hydration is not about drinking more later. It's about drinking early. Hydration doesn't catch up. You either stay ahead or you fall behind. The good news? This is one of the easiest fixes you'll ever make. Now, while we're still in the kitchen, there's one more morning mistake I want to talk about. It's one that sounds healthy, but might quietly be draining your strength. We'll get to that next. But first, breathe. Sit with this one habit for a moment. The bedside pause, then the bedside water. You're already 2 steps ahead of where you were yesterday, and that's worth a lot. So, your feet have touched the ground. You've taken your moment. You've had your water. But here's something I want you to remember. Hydration wakes the body. Nutrition fuels it. And the very first fuel you give yourself after a long fast, your breakfast, can shape how you feel for the rest of the day. Let me introduce you to Harold. He's 76, lives alone, still drives, and loves his crossword puzzles. But for years, he'd skip breakfast. Said it slowed him down. Said he didn't feel hungry in the morning anyway. He'd just sip coffee. Black. Sometimes a cracker if he remembered. Then, around 10 or 11 a.m., he'd feel shaky. Lightheaded. Tired for no reason. But he never made the connection. Until one morning, on his way down the porch steps, he stumbled. It wasn't a hard fall, but it scared him enough to finally ask why it happened. What we found wasn't complicated. Harold wasn't sick. He wasn't weak. He was just running on empty. You see, when you sleep, your blood sugar drops naturally. That's normal. But if you don't restore it with food in the morning, your body keeps running on low. And when your brain doesn't get enough fuel, it doesn't work at full capacity. You may feel fine until you suddenly don't. This can show up as dizziness, brain fog, poor balance, irritability, weakness in the legs. And the scary part? Sometimes your body doesn't warn you at all. No rumbling stomach. No hunger signals. Just snap, fatigue, or worse, a fall. The solution isn't hard, but it does take intention. Start small. Start steady. Here's what I recommend. Within the first hour after waking, eat something with both protein and slow-burning carbohydrates. Not just a sugary cereal. Not just toast and jam. Those might give you a quick burst, but they crash fast. Instead, think a boiled egg and half a banana. A slice of whole grain bread with peanut butter. A small bowl of oatmeal with walnuts. Greek yogurt with a few berries. You don't need to eat a full meal. Just enough to stabilize your blood sugar and give your muscles and brain something real to work with. Let's be clear. Food is not optional. It's not about weight. It's not about appetite. It's about energy, balance, and brain protection. And here's something many don't realize. Eating the right breakfast can even support your medication. Some pills work better when taken with food. Some protect your stomach lining only if you've eaten something. Skipping breakfast can interfere with that. So if you've ever skipped breakfast, or if your usual breakfast is just coffee and air, type number 3 below. You're not alone. And maybe your comment will help someone else recognize themselves too. By the way, if you haven't yet, now's a good moment to tap subscribe and turn on that little bell. Not because I said so, but because this is a journey, and I'd like to help you through all of it. Back to Harold. After just 1 week of eating a boiled egg and some toast in the morning, the mid-morning shake stopped. His thinking felt clearer. He told me, I feel more like myself again. And that's the point. Small shifts. Big results. Don't let your morning run on fumes. Because what you do in the first hour sets the rhythm for the whole day. Now, we've talked about how you get up. We've talked about what you drink. And now what you eat. But there's something else that most people do wrong immediately after breakfast. It's subtle, almost seems innocent, but it drains energy, stiffens the body, and invites chronic pain over time. We're going to talk about it next. Before we do, just pause. Right now, you're building a morning that supports your strength. That protects your balance. That sharpens your thinking, step by step. And that's worth being proud of. So, you've had your breakfast. A solid one, hopefully. Something that nourished you, kept your blood sugar steady, and gave your brain the fuel it needs. But what happens next? That's where many people go wrong. They eat, and then they sit, and sit, and sit some more. I'm talking about finishing breakfast and then staying planted in the same chair. Watching TV, reading the paper, maybe scrolling on a phone, or just dozing off. Now listen, rest has its place. Stillness has value. But stillness right after eating can quietly rob you of strength, flexibility, and energy over time. Let me explain. When you sit for long periods, especially after a meal, your blood flow slows down. Digestion gets sluggish. Joints stiffen. Your muscles? They begin to tighten and shorten, especially in the hips and legs. That's why some people feel groggy or heavy after breakfast. Not because of what they ate, but because they didn't move. Here's what happens inside the body. Your blood sugar rises slightly after eating. That's normal. But if you remain inactive, your body has a harder time using that sugar efficiently. That means more fatigue, more inflammation, and over time, even a higher risk of diabetes-related complications. Now let me introduce you to Anne. She's 82, lived alone since her husband passed. Sweet woman, quiet, kept to herself. She had her routines. Coffee at 7:30, toast at 8, and then 2 hours in her recliner with the morning news. She told me she often felt stiff by mid-morning. Legs heavy, ankles swollen. She thought it was just age, something she had to live with. But when we added just 5 minutes of gentle movement after breakfast, everything started to shift. The swelling reduced. Her legs felt lighter. She even said her mood improved. What did she do? Nothing fancy. She walked slowly around her apartment, held the kitchen counter. I did a few heel raises, did small shoulder rolls, gentle torso twists while standing. Just a little movement to tell her body, hey, I'm still here. That was it. See, your muscles are like light switches. They don't need intensity. They just need activation, especially in the morning after a long night of stillness and a meal. You don't need to exercise. You just need to move. And if you think this might be you, if sitting after breakfast is your default, type number 4 below. Because awareness is the first step to changing anything. And you're not alone. Many people fall into this pattern without realizing the consequences. Now, let's get practical. Here's what I suggest. About 10 to 15 minutes after you finish eating, stand up, walk slowly around your space. Swing your arms gently. If you have stairs, go up and down just once. If you're in a small space, march in place for 1 or 2 minutes. The goal isn't a sweat. It's to signal to your muscles and brain that the day is active, that you're not done yet. Over time, this small habit reduces stiffness, supports digestion, and lowers your fall risk. You'll notice your balance improves. Your posture lifts. Even your breathing feels easier. And here's a little bonus. Movement after eating can lower blood sugar naturally, especially for those managing diabetes or insulin resistance. Let me say this plainly. A still body becomes a stiff body. But stiffness isn't a punishment of age. It's a signal, and you can respond to it. Even 2 minutes of mindful movement can change the tone of your whole morning. And you don't need special clothes. You don't need a program. Just your body, your breath, and your willingness to stand. Now, while we're here, if this feels helpful, if you're starting to feel more aware of your mornings, take a second to tap subscribe if you haven't already. I only bring this up because consistency matters, and I'd like to keep showing up for you. Back to Anne. A few weeks into her new habit, she said something that stuck with me. She said, "I didn't realize how much my body missed me. I feel like I've come back to it." That's the gift of movement. It's not about performance. It's about presence. And when you offer your body that attention, it responds. Every single time. Now, we've covered how you wake, what you drink, what you eat, how you move. But there's still one more mistake that steals energy from your morning. And this one might surprise you, because it doesn't come from what you do physically. It comes from what you let into your mind right after you wake up. Noise, negativity, overload. It can undo all the good you've done. And that's where we're heading next. Before we go there, just breathe. Feel your feet. Feel your breath. You're doing something powerful, something rare. You're choosing awareness over autopilot. And that makes all the difference. Now let's talk about something most people never think to question. It's not what you eat. It's not how you sit. It's not even about movement. It's about what you allow into your mind in those precious early minutes of the day. I call it mental clutter at sunrise. For many people, the moment they wake up, their mind starts racing. They reach for the phone, scroll through emails, check the news, open social media, and in just 5 minutes, they've let in a flood of voices, noise, opinions, problems that don't belong to them, and sometimes even fear. The day hasn't even started, and they're already overwhelmed. That's a recipe for stress. Let me give you an example. There's a gentleman I worked with, Mr. Howard. He's 77, lived alone for years. Morning routines were sacred to him, but they had slowly changed without him realizing. He used to wake slowly, sit by the window with tea, and listen to birds. That quiet shaped his whole day. But lately, he'd started keeping his phone by the bed. News apps, texts from his kids, constant updates. He said it made him feel informed. But what I saw was tension, shallow breathing, distraction. Even his digestion was affected. And here's the truth. Your brain in the morning is more vulnerable than you think. Right after waking, your brain operates in a slower wave state. It's absorbing, imprinting, forming emotional tone for the hours to come. So if the first thing you feed your mind is fear, urgency, or comparison, you carry that tension with you, whether you realize it or not. Now imagine this. What if, instead of diving into noise, you started with silence? With intention? Just a few minutes of stillness, breathing, gratitude, maybe a simple phrase to guide your day. Something like, "Today I will move gently. I will treat myself with patience." Simple words, but they shift your chemistry. They lower cortisol. They activate calm. They remind your nervous system that you are safe and in charge. It's not about avoiding the world. It's about meeting it from a center place. If you've ever noticed your mood dipping before 10 a.m., your energy crashing for no clear reason, or your nerves feeling frayed by lunchtime, it might not be your body. It might be your inputs, and you have more power than you think. If this speaks to you, if you've caught yourself scrolling before sunrise or taking in too much too soon, type number 5 below. Let's acknowledge it together. No shame, just awareness. So how we shift this? Here's what I recommend. First, if possible, keep your phone out of reach in the morning. Let your feet hit the floor before a screen does. Second, before you interact with any device, check in with yourself. How do you feel? What do you need? Third, give yourself a 2-minute buffer. Just 2 quiet minutes to breathe, stretch, or sit with your thoughts before letting the world in. And finally, replace the noise with something nourishing. That'll be soft music, a morning devotional, a memory that makes you smile. Even the act of naming 3 things you're grateful for. Because your mind deserves care just as much as your body. And in these small, quiet moments, you build resilience. That resilience adds up. It helps you stay calm when life throws challenges. It helps you think clearly. It helps you show up, not just for others, but for yourself. Let's zoom out now. Across these mornings, we've uncovered 5 mistakes. Small, ordinary things, but with a heavy cost over time. Waking up too fast, skipping hydration, eating without awareness, sitting too long, letting the world flood your mind before you're even grounded in your own body. These are not failures. They're just signals, invitations really to shift. And the good news is, every one of these habits is within your reach to change. You don't need perfect discipline. You don't need expensive tools. You just need awareness, a little guidance, and the willingness to try. Start with 1. Maybe it's the water. Maybe it's standing up after breakfast. Maybe it's choosing silence before screens. Whatever feels doable, that's where your power is. And if you've made it here listening all the way through, I want to say this clearly. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not too old to make changes that matter. Your body is listening. Your mind is learning. Your heart is still open. That means the story isn't done yet. There's more strength in you than you think. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 habits do you recognize in yourself? Which one are you ready to change? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's turn this into a conversation, one voice at a time. And if you found this helpful, or if you know someone who might need to hear it, consider sharing it. Sometimes, all it takes is one morning, one small shift, one quiet decision to begin again. And if you'd like to keep receiving insights like this, gentle, grounded, useful, hit subscribe. Turn on that little bell so you don't miss what's next. I'll be here, ready when you are. Until then, take care of your mornings. They shape everything. And more importantly, take care of yourself. You're worth it. Always have been. Always will be.